From the roar of the crowd to the roar of the engine, this is Pit Pass.
Pit Pass is brought to you by Jake's Karts. Here's your host, Ron Fox.
Thanks for joining us for this holiday edition of Pit Pass. We have a great deal of highlights to show you this week. On Thursday, the 410 Sprints made their first of 2 visits to Port Royal Speedway during the Pennsylvania Sprint Speed Week Series. 35 teams attempted to make the 24-car field. On the start of the 30-lap event, Mark Smith in the 7 would jump out to a slight lead over the 88 of Todd Schaefer. After 30 laps, it is Greg Hodnett with the convincing victory one night after winning at Hagerstown. Okay, Greg, I want to know what you put in that car. You passed a lot of cars in just a few laps.
You know what? The guys just did a great job with the car. The track conditions worked out perfectly, where a lot of guys are trying to run the bottom, and we didn't really have to. So it was just fortunate that the guys did such a great job on the car to make it be able to run wherever, really. Didn't really have to be at the top, didn't have to be at the bottom, and kind of wherever somebody wasn't, that's where I was going to go. And fortunately for us, we were able to have a good enough car to pass people.
Before we get to some highlights, let's catch you up on a recent development. Officials at McKean County Raceway announced this past week that they will be hosting a World of Outlaws late model race on Wednesday, July 27th. That comes one day after the Outlaws make their first ever appearance at Dog Hollow Speedway. The Stephanie Eckel Memorial event that was to be held on the 28th has been moved to the next Thursday, August the 4th. Okay, now on to some highlights. On Saturday, I made my first ever visit to Roaring Knob Motorsports Complex. The featured race for the evening was a 41-lap UFO Super Late Model contest with $3,000 going to the winner. This is the 4th attempt to get the race underway. Jacob Hawkins in the 20 started on the pole with Devin Fries in the 12 to his outside. Through the first turns, Fries runs the top side while Chad McClellan in the green 119 powers off of turn 2 and closes on the 20 machine of Hawkins. On Saturday, Heston Speedway will run the Sonny and Peggy Erickson PA Grand Prix featuring the UFO Super Late Models. The event celebrates the 50th anniversary of the track that Dave Erickson's family built and honors those who were there in the beginning.
You know, 1961 to 2011, 50 years, wow, hard to believe. You know, but when you go out throughout the facility now, you'll notice I have everything named. I have the Peggy's main grandstand. I have Uncle Boo's food stand. So I have Aunt Doris's food, and Polly's food wagon on the hill. So I sort of got the whole family still here.
Much has changed at Heston Speedway over the years. Actually, a great deal has changed in just the past 2 seasons since Dave regained ownership of the racetrack. The night started with an 18-lap street stock feature. Bill Pluta Jr. takes the lead from the pole position. Behind him, it's mayhem as cars start to bounce off of each other. Zane Wheat in the black and white 45 ricochets off the inner banking, forcing Darrell Whetstone up into the 22 of Jesse Snyder. Snyder comes to a stop. The most recent winner, Brian Duffy, pulls in with a flat left rear tire. The top 12 qualifiers had to redraw for their starting positions. Bobby Henry picked a number 2. Then the second fastest qualifier, Gary Wiltrout, drew the pole position, leaving Barry Audie the top qualifier to start 10th. That meant the teammates started on the front row. 2 of their sponsors, Stone & Company and Megan Ford, just happened to be the sponsors of the Steel City 100 as well. Interesting. At the drop of the green, Wiltrout in the number 95 would jump to the point, while Henry in the 11 would fall into line for second place. On the last lap, Wiltrout pushes high in turns 3 and 4, opening the door for Audie to make a move. But Gary Wiltrout holds him off to garner his second win in the Steel City 100. Okay, Gary, I want to know, was this a conspiracy or meant to be with the teammates and your sponsors sponsoring the night?
Well, it probably looks like it's conspiracy, but I tell you what, it worked out for the best. I know that. We did this, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years maybe, up at Jennerstown, and it didn't fare out very well that night, but thank goodness it fared out tonight.
Thanks for joining us for another week of Pit Pass. Although a few tracks had to cancel on Saturday, Friday night saw some great weather and great racing action. The folks at Dog Hollow Speedway were just happy to be racing after having the first 6 shows rained out. But that wasn't the biggest news from this past week. In case you haven't heard, Dog Hollow will host their first ever World of Outlaws late model show on Tuesday, July 26th. With Central PA Speedway on hiatus for this year, it is a great opportunity for the Outlaws to make another trip to Pennsylvania. The Fast Track late models will also be on the card for the evening. And this race comes just 9 days after the Connor Bobick Memorial on Sunday, July 17th, in which the 410 Sprints and UFO Super Late models take to the Indiana County Bull Ring. It was nice to finally be able to make it to Dog Hollow Speedway this year. Let's take a look at some highlights from the evening. In the super late models, the 71 of Billy Esch jumped to the early lead while there is a three-wide battle for second. John Britsky in the yellow 18 powers by Esch on the top side of 1 and 2 and clears Esch by the backstretch. Welcome back. Doug Hoffman was recently enshrined into the Dirt Modified Hall of Fame. He is the promoter of Mahoning Valley Speedway, which is a quarter-mile oval near Allentown. And when I say oval, I mean that in every sense of the word. So I had to find out how a guy who raced mostly on dirt became the manager of a paved speedway.
That's a good question. Sometimes I don't even know how I ended up here, but back in like '94 when I was running Super Dirt Series, I became good friends with Alex Friesen, who promoted Ransomville, Lancaster Speedway. He had acquired Fulton Speedway, and told him there was an opportunity to get involved in a racetrack. And when you're in racing, you always want to get that opportunity. So,
Colton, congratulations. An impressive year for someone who's never raced full-size cars before.
Thank you. It's a great car. I mean, I have a great owner. I have a great crew behind me. They get this car ready every week. Can't do it without them.
Now, Dom Sawyer had ran this and had been very successful, so obviously it feels good to get in a car that's established. But again, your background was in go-karts. You've really adjusted quickly.
Yeah, Don's been a great mentor to me. I mean, he helped me all last year, telling me things about the car, and I learned a lot last year with them guys, just learning things about a stock car. I mean, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about suspension. I mean, everything was tires and go-karts. Nothing. There was no shocks or springs. It's a total adjustment for me. In other special events for this coming weekend, the UFO Super Late models will be in action this Saturday at Roaring Knob Motorsports Complex. And the ARDC Midgets tackle the Big Half Mile at PPMS. That is also on Saturday. Okay, that was a lot to squeeze in for this week. I know I'm ready to kick back or collapse. Thanks for joining us, and remember, if you want to contribute to the growth of our sport, quite simply support those who support racing.
Hotel accommodations provided by the Holiday Inn Express, Lake Finley, New York. For reservations, call 1-800-315-2621.
Pit Pass has been brought to you by Jake's Karts. This has been a production of WHVL Sports.